What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise live here on a Thursday night. We're going live a little bit late. Eric should be here in a second. He'll probably call me in like the next 30 seconds. Blazers are underway in training camp. We're going to talk about that. We'll take your questions. This is going to be a chilled, laid-back section. There it is. All right, there. We got Eric. Cool. Yo. We got Eric's chair. It talks. It's a ghost. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Eric? What's going on, chat? All right, so let me fix your webcam and we'll be good to go. I don't care about this intro anymore. We're hanging out tonight, Eric, and we're talking training camp. We're talking Blazers. I just recorded a podcast with Steven that'll go up tomorrow. You had your podcast with Hoops Crush, which was a fan favorite that dropped on Wednesday right here on the second channel. And we're just underway with the content for this preseason. How has your night been? You had a late rec league game today, so it allowed me to record, and then you just got back. Seems like you hustled home, huh? Oh, wait, you're muted. Okay, go again.
Thursdays are crazy for me, so, then got to get up early tomorrow. But, yeah, I had a late rec game, and then it went into overtime, and it was kind of far away, so, yeah, didn't get home for a while.
Allowed me to record with Steven, and then, wanted to go live with you.
Yeah.
This will probably be a little bit of a shorter stream. We kind of need a stream to just, relax, I think. We missed that in September and pretty much all off season. Now this is like a great stream to just relax, talk a little bit of Blazer basketball. I just got all my hot takes out of my system with Steven. I didn't really have many, but it was a fun recording, so looking forward to that tomorrow. But yeah, man, I'm ready to talk some Blazer basketball. Is there, I haven't been able to talk to you before the stream. Is there specific things you want to get into tonight?
Yeah, there's one specific thing.
All right, well, I'll let you kind of just lead with that. We can just jump right in.
I just finally pulled up the stream you shaved.
Yeah,
nice.
I did. People in chat noticing, I see it.
I want to talk about Thibel's comments today, and if you put any meaning into it. Did you see what he had to say?
Nope. I watched whose interviews did I watch? I watched Brogdon. I watched Robert Williams. I watched a little bit of Vance. So I watched some of them, but not. The YouTube channel dropped 5 or 6 today. There was none yesterday, and then there was 5 or 6 today. So I didn't get to Thibels. What'd he say?
Well, this is just a quote, but he said, actually, let me bring it up so I don't mess it up. Give me just a second. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Sorry, I was running behind. Hope everyone's having a good day.
Hope everyone has DJ Moore and Justin Fields on their fantasy team.
You have one of them, right?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. Jake Carey has both of them, so he has
All right.
90 points right now.
Via Sean Hyken, Matisse Thybulle on Scoot Henderson. The thing that's been coolest to see is when we've been in more situational scrimmage play where teams need stops, Scoot has been the guy coming up with a lot of the stops. A lot of times when a guy comes in as a scorer, everyone talks about how fast you are, but that athleticism on the defensive end has been huge. That's coming from Matisse, who should be our best defender.
I mean, that's cool. That's cool.
You're not buying the hype?
You
You'll believe it when he says.
You just set up the start of this stream for me to just get a hype quote 2 days into camp. Or wait, no, are we 3 days into camp?
Yes,
Maybe I should
3.
buy the hype then if we're 3 days into camp. Just put me on the spot with a hype quote. I don't know, man. I mean, he has the tools to be a really good defender, so, he'll have a lot of really impressive moments and probably just good games defensively, It's just a little different coming up with stops in a preseason, in a training camp, compared to, consistently doing it on the NBA level. So, I'm not surprised. Not surprised to hear that quote, if that's what you're asking.
Bonnie asks if I'm more tan now than when I returned from Hawaii. I'm just all red and sweaty. It's not tan.
Are you buying the hype?
Well, okay. There's two ways to look at it. One is Scoot didn't really show much of that at on the Ignite. So like it is probably we need to see it on the floor, like him be a good defender in the NBA before we can get too excited about it. But we all know he has the body, the athleticism, and the physical ability to be a good defender if he's giving effort on that end. So, like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he jumps in and is a solid defender, at least average defender right away.
Yeah, so I think he has a chance to be a solid ISO defender right away, maybe solid in the low post against guards. The biggest thing is just not having lulls, because that was a problem in the G League, but then again, it's the G League, like, how much did he truly care? But then again, his attitude is like, I have the chip on his shoulder, and I'm a dog, so he should care all the time, right? Like, because that's his attitude. So he did have some lulls occasionally in the G League defensively, where it looked like he wasn't defending as intense as other points in a game, or especially when he went up against Victor Wembanyama, like he was really locked in and playing his ass off on both sides of the court. When he played against Wemby, you know, you could tell that there was a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder in that specific game. So, you know, getting through screens is going to be something that he has to get a little bit better at. Like, there's going to be some things defensively where he struggles, and, you know, he'll have a lot of really good moments, and I think he can be good in certain areas off the bat. Just until I see the tape and until I see him improve on some of those little things compared to the G League, I'm just gonna, you know, wait and see on it, and always trust the tape over, you know, just a training camp quote. I mean, you wouldn't want to hear the opposite, though. You wouldn't want to hear, yeah, man, Scoot's struggling to get stops, Scoot's struggling on a defensive end. Like, you love to hear those quotes, absolutely. So, hopefully it'll translate to the tape.
I do think it means a little more coming from someone like Matisse Thybulle. Like, if it's like a bad defender saying that, but when it's a good defender and he's praising someone else as being a good defender, I think he would know that. So that does give me hope. And there's two things. One is no one on this team, because I don't think Scoot or Sharp will average 20 this year, but certainly down the road, they're going to be capable of averaging 20 in a season, right? You would think. And Anthony and Jeremy did it last year, so we know they're capable of scoring 20 points per game. And we have Ayton, who's, 18 or something, so he's more than capable of averaging 22 on this particular team. So there's three guys that for sure can do it, and then there's two guys that you project to do it in the next few years. So that's five guys. They're not all going to average 20 ever, but like, we have a roster where it's pretty balanced, and there shouldn't be anyone that has the Dame effect where you are so burdened on offense that it takes away from your defense. And so I would like to see the second part of the equation, and that is put Scoot on the perimeter and on their best perimeter player, their best perimeter guard, and just see what he can do. And if he gets tired, that's what you got. Brogdon can come in and play some minutes. He's a vet and knows how to play the game. So I would just wear Scoot out and give him as much responsibility on both ends as possible until he proves otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Because that's what's going to bring growth, and I feel like he's the type of guy where if you challenge him like that, he will rise to the occasion, or do his best to rise to the occasion. Like, if you're hiding him, and you've talked about this in the past, it doesn't necessarily teach the best mindset. If you're just having him guard somebody in the corner and Jeremy Grant's on, I don't know, Steph Curry or whoever, right? Like, I want Scoot guarding Steph when we play the Warriors, especially because Steph's kind of his mentor and a guy that he has in his phone and talks to, right? Like, I want to see Scoot rise to the occasion, but to rise to the occasion, you got to give him a challenge. You got to give him something to rise to, and that's guarding the best guards in the NBA. So I want him to have that responsibility right off the bat. I'm worried that they're going to start Thibault at the 3 and Grant at the 4, and they're just going to hide the guards. I don't want Chauncey to do that, and we'll focus on that in post-game shows. That'll be a running theme. Are they hiding Scoot Henderson defensively, or are they letting him guard these stars? And if so, how is he doing defensively against them? That's going to be something that's interesting to see, you know?
And also, Anthony was, well, I think he was the best. Maybe Thibault took that reign, but it was a limited sample size. But in terms of screen navigation, so to me, that says that Anthony might be better off on ball too. So you just put those guys on the top. You don't worry about having Jeremy's length on the ball like they thought was going to be the key to their defense last year. And you just let those guys play the perimeter, and then let the other forwards and centers play more natural help defense, and they can switch and stuff. But I wouldn't go too crazy with having anyone other than the guards guarding on the perimeter.
Yeah. So Scoot's defense is going to be fun to watch his rookie year, for better or worse. You know, it's just going to be fun to see how that plays out. For me, I am always somebody that just buys what's on the tape. I feel like right now we're at the time of the year where all the optimism comes out. Like every year, I feel like this time of year is like we're convincing ourselves why the team can be good. And, you know, oh, look, everybody's having fun in training camp, which like feels like every team is kind of having fun in training camp, except for maybe the Raptors, because their GM thinks they're all selfish or whatever. But, you know, it's like I saw a comment like, everybody looks happy right now. Well, everybody looked happy early on in last season. You know, it's just you truly find out what a team is made of when adversity hits. And the problem is the past couple of years, this team hasn't responded well to adversity, right? A couple of years ago, it was when they went on the road, they just could not win a game. They won their games at home, but they couldn't win their games to start the season on the road, even against bad teams. Dame was struggling with his injury, but still it was, you know, this team shrunk on the road. They did not rise to the occasion. And then they had an awful stretch after that where they basically folded under adversity. And then last year, you know, you had some of the injuries pop up after that 10-4 start, and you had a lot of close games, and this team just had a lot of mental hiccups in close games last year and blew a lot of leads. Like, just weren't mentally strong enough in situations where they needed to be, weren't able to stay locked in enough when they had double-digit leads, weren't able to get clutch defensive stops, right? So, you know, it's fun, and I'm excited for the season just to see all the new players and everything. But every year we've had the channel, I've actually predicted the team to be better than they ended up being, Eric. Every single year.
Yeah.
Okay? I have no expectations this year. I'm not expecting them to, like, shock the world and get home court advantage or this or that. Like, I'll probably predict them to miss. No. You can be the optimistic guy, and people can say I'm wrong. You know, it's just I don't even really want to have expectations. Like, I kind of just want to expect this team to get a 13th seed, and then it'll be easier for me to kind of enjoy the season because, like, I don't have any expectations going into it. The last 4 seasons that I've had the channel, I've had big expectations going into the season, and it's just let me down. So as a fan, it's like, you know what, man? Like, this team is brand new. This team has a lot of young guys. This team is being ran by a 19-year-old point guard. Like, if they struggle, it's fine. You know, I would love to see Scoot develop well, Simon sharp, and that's what I care about. So, you know, if this team is a good team 20 games in, I might be saying, oh wow, this team is actually a good team 20 games in. But until then, you know, I'm not gonna get too ahead of myself right now.
All right, chat. I want your predictions. What post-game show will Tori be looking at the next 5 games or the upcoming schedule and being like, oh, we could go 4-1 or 5-0 over the next 5 games and be in first place? Or
that's going to be you this year.
No, I know. No, I hate doing that. You know.
But I'm going to make it be.
You know I freaking hate doing that, but you always every time we won a game the last couple of years, you were like, you know, we can win the next 4 games, and I'm like, no, don't say that.
Yeah, I was too optimistic.
Yeah.
It was weird, huh? I was so optimistic last year. Chat, do you guys remember if you guys were here last year? Do you remember people getting mad at me for being optimistic? It was maybe the only time ever since I started the channel that people were mad at me for being optimistic. But last year kind of broke me, and this past offseason kind of broke me in a way. Like, I was so optimistic after that early start, and then them kind of collapsing from that was very frustrating. But I still believed in the roster. Like, I like Josh Hart. I think Jeremy Grant, if used correctly on defense, could be a really good two-way player, right? Like, I was never one of the Nurk haters. Always loved Dame. I'm high on Ant too, you
hated our bench though.
I hated our bench, and that was for good reason. Our bench consistently got outscored. Our bench consistently struggled, and that was a big problem of why that team struggled. But, for all that optimism, I mean, we were 2.5 games out of home court advantage when we sold at the trade deadline when Josh Hart got traded. So, I'm not trying to have a positive or a negative opinion. It's just I want to see this team on tape. If you remember, there's been preseasons where in training camp it's like everything's like super positive and super hyped, and then we come out in the first preseason game and look awful and like lose by 30 or down 30 at halftime. I feel like we've had multiple preseasons like that in the past 10 years. So
as Joey points out, you had a video early last season. The Blazers can win a championship if they just do this one thing. You were all kinds of hyped.
It was a good video. Yeah, I scripted it and everything. Like, this is going to be a banger, yeah. And then the defense fell off. I thought they fixed the defense, dude. I legitimately thought they fixed the defense. Silly me. There's a comment in chat that says, Tori, you complained about the past team's performance. Those teams were led by Dame. This team is far more balanced and makes more sense. Losing the best Blazer in franchise history does not automatically make us better. It just doesn't. Like, it just doesn't.
Blazers steward, that's why we're getting less and less preseason games. It's just to kind of lighten the workload. So training camp's a little longer, but not necessarily longer, but they're just trying to shorten it, so you're not playing as many games.
Yeah, and that's the way in the NFL as well.
Yeah.
So
they added a game to their schedule.
Yeah, they added a game. So yeah, a few years ago we'd have like 7. So now we only have 4, and one of them isn't even against an NBA team. So, yeah, I mean, preseason will be fun. That's when we can start coming up with like legitimate opinions based on what we see. I do like hearing the comments about Scoot Man, because for a backcourt of him and Simons or him and Sharp, whichever one is the answer long term, it makes it a lot easier in terms of if it can work or not. If Scoot can be the type of defender that is possible. Like, he has upside on that end.
Speaking of that, why don't we read Jason Hawley's donation?
Okay, so Jason Hawley had a $5 dono saying, can you give a pro/con analysis of an Ant/Scoot at the 1 and 2 spot respectively, and vice versa? So, pros and cons of Ant or Scoot at the 1 and 2. I think those two guys playing next to each other is just situationally dependent. Like, when Ant is bringing up the ball, he'll be the one. When Scoot's bringing up the ball, he'll be the one. At times, both of them will play off the ball. At times, both of them will play on. And at times, both of them might guard the other point guard, and the other one might guard the other shooting guard. So I don't even think it's, like, something where you got to pigeonhole it in, like, where one is specifically a point guard and one of them is specifically a shooting guard, because I think both of them will bring up the ball and both of them will have turns guarding each guard. Sometimes in transition, you just got to pick up whatever closest guard is to you. So I don't think there's really any pros or cons, because I think those two positions with those two on the court are fluid together.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just, there's a lot of things in basketball now where you don't have to say, oh, he's the point guard and he's the shooting guard. I do think Scoot is better suited for the point guard, and I do think Anthony's fine at shooting guard on offense. And if you, like you said, if Scoot's guarding the best guard and is solid at it, I think that they can be fine together. And but yeah, I mean, pro is is that you have one Anthony who's like a fantastic shooter. He should have his shooting splits up a little bit this year, back to normal. And then, I mean, Scoot's good at finding people, so he should be able to kick out to Anthony a lot. Cons, I think, Anthony has looked pretty good also when it's just he's running the show. So Scoot taking the ball away from him a lot will be a challenge again, just like it was for him playing with Dame last year. But I mean, he did have that experience last year, so he should be able to lean on that a little bit. And also, Scoot's a rookie, so he doesn't Anthony doesn't have to defer to Scoot as much as he did with Dame. So I think Chauncey mentioned this in his media day. He said that Ant's got to do a better job of knowing when he needs to lead the show on the court and when he's like the spot up shooter and stuff. And that's something that Anthony didn't do a great job of. And CJ also struggled with this in games Dame played in, is where like when Dame's taking a rest on the bench, they don't play like they did when Dame's not out. They played like Dame was still in the game, right? And so that's going to be Anthony's biggest challenge, I think, is learning at what points of the game to attack, what points to be a distributor, and what points to like push the tempo and hold back and set up the half court offense. And it sounds like he's doing a pretty good job of figuring that out, as well as becoming more vocal and kind of a leader on this team, which is really cool to hear.
Yeah. I think it's a little different going into a season where it's like, for sure, he's the lead guard.
Yeah.
Right? It's just it allows him to have that mindset where, like, even he had really good performances where he played without Dame. Like, the stats that Ant had without Dame are phenomenal. But with Dame on the court, it's like, you're the number two. And that's, I feel like, in most guys' head, like, I'm going to get Dame the ball instead of force my own. And sometimes you need to force your own in order to truly take that step to being a star level scorer, because those type of guys will get to their spots no matter what, even if it's difficult. Like, they just find their ways to their spot. They find their shots. When you're the number two, you maybe don't try as hard because you got that number one, and you'd rather just give up the ball to them or just feel like you should defer, and that should be the guy that maybe has to take the tough shot or force the tough play. So, Ant had his breakout when Dame was down and hurt, and I think a big part of that was because he was going into those games like, I am the lead guard. With Scoot Henderson starting in the backcourt, I think Ant will be able to have that mindset, and I also think Scoot will do a really good job setting the table for him, and I also think this team running more will benefit Anthony Simons as well. Mm-hmm. I think everything's setting up for Ant to have a big breakout season as like a 24 or 25 point per game scorer, because he has the shot. He can shoot difficult threes. Like, he had a heavy shot diet of threes last year. His percentage isn't amazing. I think it was like 38%, but it is amazing when you take into context the types of shots he was shooting and the volume he was shooting, because that is a big part of three-point shooting. You can't just base a three-point shooter off of just the percentage. You have to take into account, okay, is it an above average percentage on a bunch of shots? Because that's really good. Is it above average percentage on deep threes? Because that means defenders have to guard you 30 feet away from the rim, and that opens up your drives more and opens up other things. So his three-point shooting is phenomenal. I think he'll be able to get some open transition threes with Scoot pushing the pace. And then also as a spot-up guy, like, I think he might get more opportunities than ever off the ball to do some damage, because I think Scoot's a little bit more of a lob thrower than Dame was. I think Scoot will push the pace more than Dame was, and I think Scoot will do a good job of finding Ant. Like, I think Scoot does a really, really good job of finding shooters on kickouts and that sort of thing. And then, Ant with the ball in his hands will be able to have that level of confidence. Like, I am the guy. I am the lead guard. I am the guy that this team looks to. I am the leader of this team. So I'm expecting a huge season from him. And I said this on Steven's podcast. The mindset right now is like, for a lot of people, is we got to trade Ant down the line. I have a feeling Ant's gonna look so good next to Scoot that we're gonna be having some difficult conversations at the deadline where maybe it's not necessarily you have to trade Anthony Simons, maybe it's you have to trade a different guy, or maybe it's, maybe Sharp's I don't know, like the Sharp versus Ant dynamic. Basically, I'm just gonna dive right into it. A lot of people view it as one or the other, and a lot of people lean towards Sharp because of his upside. I just wonder how that changes if Sharp's not starting and Ant's looking like a star averaging 25 a game. Like, what are the conversations going to be at the trade deadline then?
Yeah, I don't think you worry about that this year, even if they're doing well. But I still think Sharp can play 3, and I don't think it's a problem. But
that's why they need to start him next to those two to find out.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be this season though, because they all have 3 years left on their contracts, so you can just worry about them individually this year and then worry about fit or whatever together future. I mean, you want to start planning on that now, seeing if it can work. But like I said, in theory, you'd only play Sharp 12 minutes a game at small forward if you had a 3-guard rotation with those two.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like Thybulle's going to start. It just sounds like it to me.
Although Chauncey had some comments after the second day that made me think that maybe that wasn't the case.
Which comments were those?
He just had a lot of good things to say about how Sharp was playing well and looking like let me see if I can find it.
Am I a little bit too stuck in thinking of it like how I thought of it under Terry Stotts? Because Terry Stotts definitely, I feel like, would have started Thybulle.
Maybe. I mean, I agree with you that I think they will end up doing that, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised though.
I'll do a chat poll. Not who you guys would start. Who do you think they'll start? Because what you think they'll do and what you hope they'll do might be two completely separate things.
Yeah, some more stuff from Sean Hyken from yesterday. Chauncey called Matisse Thybulle a wizard and an artist on defense. And also that out of the non-Scoot rookies, hearing a lot of good things from Blazer people about how Tamani Kamara has looked in camp.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. He looked great in Summer League. He can defend and hit a 3 and is a solid athlete and can finish around the rim.
And Robert Williams said Scoot Henderson that MFer's fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched his interview. That was funny.
I don't see this stuff from Chauncey.
Huh. So basically 2/3 of people think they'll start Thybulle.
I mean, he's been praising both of them, so yeah. I think they'll just frame it as Sharp's better coming off the bench than he just scoring off the bench or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's my gut feeling. But we'll see. We will see. Shout out to Colonel Pancakes, $5 donation. Says, can't wait to see Thybulle's defense with actual defenders behind him. Yeah, Thybulle can gamble more now, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Because now he has Robert Williams and DeAndre Ayton behind him. Although,
I mean, it's not.
Robert Williams is better, but defensively.
I mean, I hope Ayton takes a jump defensively, but yeah, he's not the greatest defender. But I mean, if Jeremy Grant's played his normal role and he's a help defender, he's good at that. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch the intricacies of Ayton's defense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've watched a lot of Ayton, but it's different. Like the intricacies, you need to watch a guy closely for multiple games. I feel like, in order to truly judge his defense as like a positional team guy. So, Jonathan Glazer in chat says, no Blazers fan actually knows what defense looks like, so this should be fun. That's a great comment.
Yeah, we've been trying to like break down what a defense should do in plays in every post game, and now we can actually maybe break down some good things.
Is there a chance that Tamani Kamara is the backup power forward? Because I feel like right now there is a 3-person battle.
Yeah.
Between Jabari Walker, Chris Murray, and Tamani Kamara for that backup power forward spot.
Well, if you start Thibault, and it's Anthony, Scoot, Thibault, Grant, and Ayton, then you for sure have Brogdon, Sharp, and Robert Williams off the bench, and those are pretty much interchangeable. So, but that's your 8, right? For sure, that's your 8-man rotation.
Yeah, and then I think they'll more than 8 guys though.
Yeah, they'll do a 9-man rotation at least. I think that's a really good. Like, I agree with Blazer fan. That's a really good 8-man rotation. So, yeah, I think there is a chance Kamara could do that, could get it. I mean, he just has to outplay Jabari and Chris Murray. Now, you don't know how much stock they'll put into Chris Murray, a guy they really wanted in the draft and stuff, and you don't know. Jabari's been in the system for a year now, so maybe he has the leg up on those two just by being here and knowing what Chauncey expects. And we've heard him talk in the past about how important it is for him to just come in and do his job and be a good role player. So yeah, I could see any one of those 3 winning it.
I agree with Blazer fan in chat. Says, I hope they put zero stock in the draft, like in terms of where they drafted him.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, Kamara's the 52nd pick. We had 2 picks, or 3 picks ahead of 52nd, and we didn't take him. So, like,
but obviously we took Chris Murray and said he was a lottery talent.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, this team obviously didn't see him being better than him or Repair in the draft. So.
Yeah, I mean, but I think, I don't know, like, not to put too much stock into Summer League, because you shouldn't put too much stock into Summer League, but Kamara looked legitimate in Summer League, and he's the type of guy, like, God, he's the type of guy I'm normally high on in the draft. I just didn't watch enough of him. Like, multi-positional defender that can... He developed the 3-ball, was an okay 3-point shooter his final year at Dayton, athletic, and can kind of finish around the rim. And he probably makes the most sense for an up-tempo offense. Like, I feel like he can run the floor the best out of the 3. Basically, I love that we got Kamara. At the same time, it's like, man, we just should have really taken somebody else at 23. Because now it's like you got 4 power forwards, and 3 of them are just kind of similar in terms of their stature. And then you're talking about playing Robert Williams at the 4 at times next to Ayton is kind of a logjam there.
I think Chris Murray's underrated. I think he can play in a fast tempo offense.
I didn't say he can't. I think Kamara is the best fit for one, though.
Yeah. Well, if you have Kamara, Brogdon, I guess, Robert Williams, it's pretty good length at several positions on your bench. It's so weird to have like a good defensive lineup you could throw out on the bench.
Yeah. This is where I hope they trade Jeremy Grant at some point and just play all 3 of those guys 16 minutes a game at the 4 spot. Right? Like, or they trade Brogdon and play Grant at some 3. No, that's not who that is. Or, I don't think. Yeah. Kevin Knox erasure. Yeah, we got Kevin Knox too. We got Kevin Knox.
What if Kevin Knox wins that job?
Yeah, we're talking about these three young guys that are all kind of intriguing, and Kevin Knox wins the job. You know how annoyed I'd be? Bro. You know how annoyed like, does it really matter? Probably not. But just playing Knox over those three guys is just pointless. Like, what's the point? Are you gonna win? Are you gonna win more games because of it? Probably not. All three of those guys are younger. So, I don't know. I'm still not in love with the Chris Murray pick. He deserves a chance to prove me wrong, and could definitely prove me wrong. I think he'll be a solid role player. I just like a Tamani Kamara because I feel like he has a little bit more upside, because I think that he can be a more versatile defender. And I also like his athleticism.
Just to be fair, Kamara and Chris Murray are almost as old as Kevin Knox.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're both 23. Knox just turned 24 in August.
They're younger in terms of NBA.
Yeah, I know.
They're both rookies.
I know.
Like, Knox has been in the league 5
meant,
years.
yeah.
That's crazy. Do you have a preference who the backup power forward is to start the year? Like, right now, obviously, like, we haven't seen them, so this could definitely change within a game. Like, after preseason game number 1, I might be saying Chris Murray's the truth and should be the backup 4. Like, you know, this is just based off not seeing anything. Do you have a preference right now?
No, I'll trust whoever wins that job. That's the best player for that position, or the one playing that. And I expect it to change multiple times, multiple people, maybe even within the same game. You know, like first half, you have Jabari the minutes, and if he plays well, you put him in. Second half, if he doesn't, then you try Chris Murray out or whatever.
I agree with that. I don't know, man. Like, Kamara gives me good vibes, bro. Good vibes. And apparently it looks good in training camp. We'll see.
Why?
It's gonna be. What's up?
I don't understand why people come in and ask if they're visible in stream.
Because if they're not visible, they're not gonna be seen. So here's
you wouldn't be able to type if you're banned.
Yeah, or just go on a burner account and see if you see your first comment or something. Come on. Anyway, chat thinks that Jabari Walker wins the backup power spot. If I had to guess right now, I would say Jabari Walker. He looked good in Summer League. His body looks a little bit better. I think he'll be able to shoot the 3-ball this year. I think that was kind of the one thing hurting him last year, was he didn't fully have his confidence, it seemed like, from the 3-point line. Kind of struggled from there. This year, I think he will be better from behind the arc, and defensively had some okay moments, had some bad moments. Like, his IQ is there. He's not the most athletic power forward or like the biggest guy, so he doesn't really have that advantage, so he has to be a smart defender. We'll just see if the game can slow down for him on the defensive end a little bit more, because he does a good job, it seems like, of recognizing things on the floor as they're happening, like where he's supposed to rotate, where he's supposed to be. But as a rookie, things happen pretty quickly. So we'll see if he's able to kind of get to his spots quicker defensively, because he's one of those guys, like, he's not going to rise well above the rim to block a shot. Like, he has to get to his spot earlier than other more athletic guys to give himself more of a chance.
Yeah, for some reason I think Chris is going to get it first. The first opportunity.
Do you?
Yeah, I just think they really think highly of him.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he could come in and shoot 38% from 3 and, like, on a high volume and look really good there and be serviceable defensively. Like, that's the thought. That's the optimism with a Chris Murray.
I do think between him and Walker, that will be one of the key reasons why one gets the job over the other is if they're consistently knocking down the three.
Is the starting power forward of the future on this team right now?
I don't believe that that any of them would start on a championship team. I
You
think,
keep Jeremy Grant, so he could apply too.
yeah.
Like,
I
if
mean,
we're gonna contend,
yeah. I think they're all could be really solid rotation players, but starting power forward, I think you need a slightly better player. I'm not a star like Blazer fan says, but I think you just need I don't know. I would I guess I could see Kamara being that over any of the three,
yeah,
but just because like he's like a glue, hustle, do all the dirty work type of guys, and we do need those kind of guys. But I still think those kind of guys are better off the bench.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. Is like, if any of these guys is going to become a starting four on a championship caliber team, like none of the three are likely to become that. But I would also probably lean towards Kamara, simply because he can do a bunch of things. He can guard multiple positions. He can run the floor. He's athletic. He can knock down a three. He can finish around the rim. He can catch a lob. Because that's the one thing with like Chris Murray and Jabari Walker. Like neither of them really come across as guys that should be catching lobs, or that will catch lobs and throw it down. So obviously, if they're wide open under the hoop, they can. But neither of them are like the bounciest of guys.
I I think it's not a knock on them. I just think Chris and Jabari are more destined to be. I still think they could be really good role players, but I think that's kind of their ceiling in the NBA. That I don't think they have high level starter capability.
Yeah. Anyway, if you guys can't already tell, I love that Tamani Carmaro was thrown into that Suns trade for us. Like I don't know why or how, but good job, Cronin. Like legitimately good job getting Kamara thrown into that trade. I will give him props for that because he looked phenomenal in summer league, man. He looked really good for the Suns. Gabe was in love with him.
Yeah. You know what's funny, Tori?
What?
Your comments earlier about not having expectations and stuff.
Yeah.
You're you're saying exactly what the Blazers front office and ownership wants their fans to go into the season thinking.
About Kamara?
No, about the team in general. The low expectations or not having expectations.
I mean, of course, it's really easy to run a team if nobody expects anything of you.
I know, but I think they do have expectations like secretly, but they're trying to make it seem like they're not going to be very good or it's going to take some time so that if they do get off to a good start or do play well this season, then everyone will give them so much props because like they just recovered so well from Dame's trade request, you know.
I don't I don't like that. I don't like how everything's always set
But
up in a way where like if everything goes wrong, it's like not their fault, but if everything goes right, it's like praise the Lord, Joe Cronin.
that's how Cronin has been for 2 years.
Oh
That's his mantra,
God.
dude. That is who he is as a person is like always say something that tempers expectations so you can go back to that if you don't succeed, but always like have it in like they were feeling themselves at the start of last year, right?
Yeah.
And then it all fell apart and those injuries, what are we gonna do? Like you got people injured that didn't really matter that much if you had a better bench, right?
Yeah. Oh no, what are you gonna do without Justice Winslow? Like, build some freaking depth then. Get a legitimate backup big then. Like, that was his fault, but yeah, it was just the injuries. Yeah. The thing is when there were injuries under Stotts, it was like, what can the coach do about the injuries, about the roster, right? Like, they don't have enough depth. Last year, that wasn't really the argument at all.
It takes years to do it.
I hate that. People are already calling Joe Cronin Executive of the Year. This team hasn't even seen the floor in a preseason game, and they're already saying Executive of the Year because he traded Damian Lillard. Like, oh, God. Anyway. You got me wanting to rant, but I will resist.
Devin Ford asked if there was anything they've said that makes it the case. Pretty much all their comments on Media Day about how they're young and it's going to take time and to be patient is what Cronin said.
I mean, I've seen this team make one actually, Eric, I've never seen this team win a Western Conference Finals game in my life since I started watching them, and that was almost 2 decades ago. The Mariners are preaching patience to me too. I haven't seen them score a run in a home playoff game ever. Ever.
Trying to think how many.
I'm tired of my teams preaching patience to me when they're just not. They just have been in the mud.
I'm 44. I think I've seen 13 Western Conference Finals wins, if my math is correct. But 10 of those were in 90 through 92. So,
like, when Cronin builds a legitimately contending team, I will give him props. That's the thing, is people want me to give him props. Like, I'll give him props for, like, getting Tamani Kamara thrown in, and, like, the value on the Drew trade is good. Like, yeah, I'll give him props on that too, man. But, I mean, all he's done is sold, pretty much. He's just sold. When he builds something, I will give him props. Like, I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he won't. He could build a super team for all I know. He could have the first and second picks in 2029 after we win a championship because the Bucks and the Celtics suck. Could you imagine? That'd be amazing. Like, who knows? But now's the point where everything has to be a step forward. Like, there is no more stepping back. Everything in terms of team building is now stepping forward because this offseason was rock bottom. Maybe trading Jeremy Grant is a step back. Maybe trading Malcolm Brogdon is a step back. But everything is forward towards the future. Everything is, we're accumulating picks, we're accumulating assets. At some point, he's going to have to build something with those. So, I mean, I'm curious to see what it looks like. But, that's the thing is if they make the play-in this year, people are going to be eating it up. Like, it's going to be an accomplishment. It's a play-in. 20 out of 30 teams make the play-in. I'm not going to celebrate being the 19th best team in a league of 30 teams, It'll be fun.
Devin says Blazers are currently at a better spot with our current roster than if we had Lowry, Jovic, and JJJ, I think. Oh, man, I don't want to talk about Miami, but...
No, we refuse.
No, the only thing I'll say to that is... well, technically, there could have been 4 first instead of 3 in that deal, but we could still move Brogdon or Robert Williams for a first, so that, I guess, is a moot point. But I think the theory for me would be, do you want them to currently be in a better spot, or would you rather... I mean, yeah, it sucks if we're talking about them being one of the worst teams in the league this year, which they still could be. But that might actually be better for them long term, as much as it would suck to see them tank again or lose a bunch of games, go 15 and 67 or something this year. As much as that sucks, it might actually be what's best for the team long term. So I don't agree that just because the roster is better right now, that was the better play. It it might work out. You might have you can either get some pieces that you couldn't have gotten if you traded Dame to Miami, or you could be better right away. Like, I think they might be pretty good this year, and maybe they hit on a draft pick that's not a top pick and it doesn't matter, and Joe does a good job that way, or picks someone up or in a trade or something that breaks out here. So that's definitely possible. To me, I think they're setting up this spot to be just to not get that one extra top end talent that they could have added in one of the next two drafts. I think they're going to be just a little too good.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if they're the worst team in the league, I don't have any critique for like the way this team was built, because this team was built on the back of losing the greatest Blazer ever. Like after we were one of the worst teams in the league anyway. So, like for the build of this team going into next season, I will have no criticism if they are the worst team in the league. I also will not have any, like, I won't sit there and give a huge round of applause for a play-in. Because you do have some dudes on this team, like, but that's not the end goal, winning one play-in game and then losing the next and barely missing the playoffs is not an accomplishment to me. We've been stuck in that range for so long. Even if we get back into that range in the next couple of years, it's like, man, I want to win multiple playoff series in a year. Like, I want to make playoff runs. I want to be that team where it's like, oh yeah, they could be a team that could win it all before the season, that has top 5 or 6 odds in Vegas, because we've never really had that team, at least as long as I've watched. So anything lower than that, I'm not going to sit there and scream executive of the year and give huge rounds of applause and become a Cronin fan and that sort of thing. Like, I'm very, very neutral on it. So you're right that they've set it up in a way where there's no expectations, where like there will be no criticism if they are the worst team in the league, and I don't think there should be. But if they make a play, and I feel like a lot of people will be applauding them and like throwing a celebration.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that just something about that kind of irks me, where it's always a situation where this front office never deserves criticism but always deserves praise. Just feels weird.
Brian Tadevich asks, why are we keeping Brogdon, though? There's no space for him. I mean, they think there is, and they want a veteran. But, yeah.
Devin says, I would rip into him if they're the worst team. We have too good of a roster. Well, you know what will happen? People will rip into Chauncey.
Yeah.
If we have the worst team, it'll fall on Chauncey's head. Chauncey might get fired if we're the worst team, actually. Like, who knows? Chauncey will take the fall before Cronin.
Yeah. Go ahead. Do we miss a couple donos?
We had one from Carter Dick, $2 dono, says, do you guys do Hoops Grid? I do not. Do you do Hoops Grid, Eric?
I did for a while when it first came out. I've been slacking. I haven't played in a couple weeks. But yeah, it's fun. You and I should do it live on.
Alvaro says, at that point, Chauncey deserves it, though. He got what he wanted with the bigs. Oh, Chauncey will definitely deserve it. It's just... Yeah, Chauncey will definitely deserve it. I mean, like, the whole last 15 minutes or 20 minutes of the stream, since Eric brought it up, has been me coming to grips with the reality that we are once again in a situation where it's a win-win for the front office.
Yep.
Like, they just set everything up as a win-win. Like, there's no downside for them.
I mean, it's... Yeah, Chauncey says Matisse is a wizard. No, this front office is a wizard at setting up the excuses so nothing bad can fall on that.
We want to be super aggressive going away around Dame. But it's a multi-year process, Eric. It's a multi-year process.
We need to Josh Hart at every position.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
That's the one thing I have to give Joe Cronin the ultimate respect and credit for, is that dude knows how to play his audience. Like, he knows how to like
He's doing exactly what he should be doing.
Yeah, make them feel like they can believe in him after everything.
The trade for the Dame trade and then the Drew trade, value-wise, was pretty good. Okay? Was pretty dang good. So he gets national props. And then he can sit there and say, we're playing for the future with those unprotected picks, but we got guys that can help us right now. He has enough players where this team might be a play-in team next year. But also, with how young they are, nobody would blame them if they're the worst team in the league. So he set things up in a way where, like, he did a good job getting a haul back for Dame. Maybe it's not a haul. Depends on your definition of a haul. A lot of people have called it a haul, right? And he's gotten a lot of props around the league for it. And now he's just in a situation where it's like, cool, man. Seems like he has job security. He has a multi-year window ahead of him with very few expectations. He's done a wonderful job securing his role as Portland Trailblazer GM over the next few years.
Also bringing a couple of guys with injury concerns like Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon, and if they get hurt, then that's not your fault, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We had the depth, there's injuries, right? What were they going to do?
Yeah. So he's that's the thing is over the next 2-3 years, like it's just going to be this rebuild project. But like if we're not making positive steps over the next 2 to 3 years in order to get towards contention in the future, then I wonder what the reaction is going to be. Because while there's no expectations this year, Eric, shouldn't we be trending in a direction where the expectations are a little higher next year and a little higher the year after that?
We should be. When you have a young team, the expectations should rise each year.
Yeah. So that's where it's going to get interesting.
But that's why I don't understand. Okay, so people think the trades were brilliant because we got players that were good right now, with like Ayton, Robert Williams, and Brogdon, right?
And and now there's a lot of excitement, like, oh, we're gonna take the league by storm.
Okay, so you bring in players, and people think you fleeced or did a respectable, upstanding job because you brought in these players, and they're good players, but they're also not going to be good this year. Like I don't know. Like how did he manage to get to trade for win now players and build a roster that's better than any roster that Dame had, arguably, and then but set the expectations that it's okay if this team completely falls on their face too. Like it's so crafty, man. Like I don't know.
Like I can't even be mad at that. Like it bugs me, but I also, if I was GM, that's kind of what I would want, right? Like, isn't that what you would want as a GM going into the season?
I honestly, I'd probably overhype my team all the freaking time.
Yeah,
people would hate it.
It's ready to average 33 points per game. It's just over there waiting to go next in the media day conference. Like what?
we have a backup point guard. His name is Anthony Son.
Yeah. I mean, Colonel Pancakes has a $5 donation talking about Cronin. Thank you, Colonel Pancakes. Says, it's really strange watching how Cronin did these trades. Just seemed competent and crafty. Where the hell was that the last 3 years? I mean, he got back better value in selling Dame and Drew. Well, Dame's value was tied up in Drew, so it's mostly just like the Drew part of that trade. That was his best sale job of his tenure, in my opinion.
It's pretty easy when you have multiple contenders all vying for him, though.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Joe asked for initially, or what the rumor
4
is?
or 5 first.
Yeah.
At least he's asking high. Yeah. At least he's asking high. Like, I will take baby steps. Like, at least he started off with a little Masai Ujiri, you know? But he didn't go full Masai Ujiri, or else Drew Holiday would still be on the team.
He's got to count Robert and Brogdon as a first each, then, right? To get to 4.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, he only got 2 first, and
I
that's
think he views Robert Williams as 2 first.
yeah.
Like, it sounded like he really liked the Robert Williams, which, I don't know. Like, there's upside and downside to the Drew trade. Like, Golden State's pick could be 25 this year, and the Boston 2029 could be, like, they could still be a contender by then. That could also be, like, the 25th pick. And then Robert Williams is very injury prone. And then Malcolm Brogdon, who knows what we trade him for. Like, it's not completely in the clear in terms of, like, this trade is definitely going to be great. But in terms of what you had, it was probably the best deal on the table. I mean, I don't know what else was out there, but you're able to get back 2 picks and a big the quality of Robert Williams. And if he can get healthy, you can sell him, or he's maybe very impactful on this team if you can play him next to Ayton and get away with it.
I just keep wondering, like, why we didn't. If you liked Robert Williams so much, you probably could have had him for a couple firsts, right? Like, if you were aggressive
I don't think they were trading away role players for first, though. They wanted to improve.
Yeah, I know.
So we just didn't have the piece to help them improve.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they needed another scorer. They needed a defensive player. And, we don't got defensive players unless we trade Dame for him and then flip him. Well, now we got defensive players, apparently, so we'll see.
My thing is, I think the standings are going to be so bunched up again like last year that they'll have a moment where they're like in the 7th seed or whatever, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, this team is way ahead of expectations. But it's like their record might not even be that good. It's just, I mean, like we saw late into last season, there was a bunch of teams hovering around 500 that still had a legit chance at home court advantage in the first round. So I think that's going to be the case. I think Denver will separate in the West, but I don't know if there's any other teams that are going to separate.
I think the Lakers could.
Yeah, maybe the Lakers.
Like, the role players they got were perfect at the deadline last year. They were a different team.
Yeah, but, LeBron is the oldest player in the league now. And, Anthony Davis hasn't been super healthy for a full regular season. So their role players are going to have to really step up. I could see them being kind of just like in the middle and being fine with that as long as they don't fall out of the playoff race and just be like, we just need to get into the playoffs, not necessarily be a high seed.
Yeah. Shout Alex Wolf with the $2 donation says, can I sign up for one of Jody's Speedo fashion shows with a boat emoji?
Alex wants to go watch Jody's Speedo fashion show.
Thank you, Alex Wolf, for the $2 donation. I don't know where you'd sign up for that, my guy, so I don't know how to answer your question. Yeah, man. Cronin is, that's the one thing he's great at, man. You just made me have like an epiphany on stream. That's so wild. I
mean, it's so obvious what he's doing, right?
I know, but that's why it was a little bit more mind blowing for me, because like I actually hadn't really thought about that yet, like, and I should have. But I'm trying to be excited.
I mean, I'm predicting this, so I'm not going to like go too crazy, but I really think that there's going to be a point in this season where everyone is just gushing about how good Cronin did because of how well the roster is doing right away. Imagine year one, they're doing this well. Just give Cronin some time to cook, and he's going to lead us to a championship.
I mean, see, that's where I'll be sitting there like, oh, I will give him props if he leads us to a championship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Utah started great last year. Washington, a lot of years, starts great and then ends up being terrible. I could definitely see us being like 8-4, and we're already throwing a parade, but instead of a championship, it's for our god, right? Because that's what Cronin is. He is a god. Anyway, Cronin has all the... Cronin has all the time in the world to cook. I will let him cook. He will be able to cook.
You're hitting your mic. It's making
I'm not hitting my mic. I'm swinging my headphone, though. Maybe that's what it is.
Making a banging noise.
Well, it's for emphasis.
Okay.
Is what I'll go with. Anyway. Dominate and 4. Oh, why is this so funny to me?
Yeah, so Brian Tadovich asked how much cap space we have now. We do not have any cap space. People are confusing how much room we have under the luxury tax for cap space is two completely different things.
Will we be doing watch parties for preseason games? The Suns ones I'll go on Gabe's stream. Gabe is Suns Valley podcast. He does watch parties for every Suns game. And we play Suns 2 of the 4 games, so.
Do we even know if the Perth game is on TV?
I don't know. I'm sure you can find a stream somewhere. You can always find a stream somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We're not trading anyone to help Golden State if we have their pick. That's what you think.
We like to help Golden State, though.
Yeah. Luckily, they don't have as many seconds to trade us, though, so...
I agree with Alex. We need another Rich collab somehow.
Yeah. I'm down for that. I am definitely down for that. Yeah, I'll take questions in chat and then wrap up the stream. I've been up since 8:30 in the morning, which is a little early for me, so my energy is shot. In case you can't tell. Man, it feels so weird going on Fanspo and not seeing Dame. Yeah, it's going to be weird looking at salary sheets. Gracious Investigates $5 donation says, don't you think Tyler Hero is a clown for thinking the Blazers dissed him? We won't need another guard. He should blame the Heat. Thank you, Gray, for the $5 donation. I mean, I agree that he shouldn't look at it that way, but also as an athlete, it's this team doesn't want you, feel like it's kind of hard not to take that personally. And he was getting asked about the Blazers when he commented on the Blazers, so it's not like he was going out of his way to talk trash. He was just asked specifically about them, so... And he is right, we are not the best in the we are not the best in the league, so... Yeah. I don't know. I'm not going to be too harsh on him. It's tough coming back to a team that consistently tries to trade you, or supposedly consistently tries to trade you. Are you muted? Are you there?
Oh, I don't want him on our team anyway, so he can go on hating the Blazers because I don't ever want to sign or trade for him anyway.
Yeah.
I heard something hilarious. Matt Moore.
Yeah.
I heard him on a show rating someone asked him to rank Maxey, Poole, Hero, and Simons.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I forgot if it was, I think it was Maxey 1 with Hero right behind him. And then he said, then there is a super large gap for Poole. And then an even larger gap way, way down, not even close to the conversation, Anthony Simons. He's by far fourth.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Bro, I can't... That's the one thing I absolutely cannot wait for is for Anthony Simons to put these people on notice.
Mm-hmm.
He is so ridiculously underrated. I don't understand why. If he was in Miami, people would be saying he's better than Hero if Hero was in Portland. It's just the way it is.
Three firsts for him.
Oh my God! How is Poole? How is there a large gap where Poole is better than Simons?
I don't.
Like, just you can't even back up that argument statistically. You can, like, statistically, there is no case. Like, they put up the same amount of points, same amount of assists. Jordan Poole is much more inefficient and much more wild with his play. And he's not a better defender. How is he better? Because he's flashy? Is this ball don't stop or whatever the hell the Twitter account is called? Like, we giving style points here? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, I also saw there's a tweet. I don't remember who it was. It wasn't like a media person, but someone was saying Anthony Simons had the worst contract in the league.
Why do people hate on Ant?
That was the other part of the conversation. He was saying that his contract was a negative and that Portland's gonna need to pay to offload it and all this crap.
Okay, well, you know what's funny? I'm just comparing things. Hold on. Last year, Anthony Simons had more points per 100 possessions than Hero. Only 0.3 less assists per 100 possessions than Hero. His true shooting percentage was about 2 percentage points higher than Tyler Hero's. I also think...
But Hero plays defense.
I was going to say, I also think if you had to say one of them is a better defender, it'd be Anthony Simons.
I was joking.
Because Hero, yeah.
No, people look at defensive rating and think that Anthony was the worst defender in the league.
So stupid. Like, how is there a big gap between Hero and Poole and then an even bigger gap between Poole and Simons? Like, how is Hero that much better than Simons? Because statistically, I can make the case that Simons is better than Hero. Like, I think statistically, they are very comparable.
I think they're all pretty comparable.
Yeah, like they're all. That's the reason. The reason that's a question is because they're all pretty comparable. Why is... I don't know. I'm ready for Ant to shut these people up next year and average 25 a game. Like, I am ready for it.
I'd 100% take Anthony over Jordan Poole.
100%. The only player I would take there over Anthony Simons is Tyrese Maxey. Like I would probably...
I think it's
make
close.
A case for Simons over Maxey.
To be fair, I think all four of those players are good players. I just don't think there's a gap between any of them.
I mean, Maxey shot 43% from three last year.
How many attempts?
6 a game.
6. That's more than I thought.
Yeah, like, he's developed into a really good shooter, and like defensively is probably the best player out of the four. Like, he's not great.
He had Harden and Embiid setting him up though.
Yeah, but when he plays as the lead guard, same thing as Ant.
Yeah.
You know, when those guys play as lead guards, they're phenomenal. That's what would be interesting, bro. Is if Harden gets traded, Maxey's the lead guard. Okay, in Portland, Simons is the lead guard, and then now Jordan Poole's in Washington. Jordan Poole is the lead guard. So comparing all three of those guys.
Well, Maxey's team should be pretty good, and Hero's team should be pretty good. But I don't know if Hero's like the lead guy.
He's not.
But
so like he's like the one guy who's not the lead guard because that's Jimmy Butler.
Poole's going to put up numbers just because Washington's going to suck.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You could say the same about Ant because we're going to suck. But
yeah, but I think I'd put any amount of money on Anthony having better efficiency than Jordan Poole this year.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, that's the thing is there's definitely not a case for Jordan Poole above Simons. You could maybe make one for Hero. You cannot make one for Jordan Poole. In my opinion. He's just... Yeah. Because I feel like he got better shots than maybe any of them playing in Golden State's system. The only reason his shot diet wasn't a bunch of great shots was because he took some terrible ones. You know? Put Ant in that system, and I think he's thriving. Up tempo, gets lots of threes off, runs shooters off screens. Really good at opening up cutters. Yeah, Simon's putting people on notice this year.
Yeah, I can't wait to.
I might get myself a Simon's jersey.
Yep. And all you people know that I've never given up on it yet.
Nobody on this stream has ever given up on it.
By the way, Gray Hughes earlier, I don't know if it's still valid or if this is something you want to do, Tori, but he suggested doubling your bet and switching it to 45 wins.
Deal?
Let us know if that stands, Gray. We'll change your bet to $100 and 45 wins.
Deal.
He said double or nothing. I assume that's what he meant.
You can't pay it through a donation because I don't get 100% of that, so.
Okay. If you have a bet that's double or nothing. Okay, so you just want.
I want 40. I want to move it up to 45 wins. That sounds great. This team is better than everyone thought it would be in terms of who's on the roster after a Dame trade, so let's do it.
This is hurting my brain. Double. He's saying double or nothing if he loses the 40, but so he's got a gray area to where he could win one bet and lose one bet.
Okay, so if it's between 40 and 45, then it cancels out. If it's over 45, I owe you. I don't understand what we're doing here. Yeah, my brain hurts too.
41 to 44 is 0. No one wins. If they.
Okay, but what if it's under 40 wins? Do I get 100?
You get 100 then, yeah. All right, so 39. Wait, it would be 40 to 44, right? Because you said it has to be under 40, right? You win if it's 40, right?
Yeah, so 40 to 44 is a gray area. No, what the why would I... What?
But
why would I only get 50? Nah, I don't like what he's trying to do here.
Dude, you do not understand the concept of double or nothing. Double or nothing means you have to double what you lose potentially.
I don't get double, but he get double.
That's not double or nothing. You're just trying to get a free $50 if they win a lot. What is going on here?
That makes no sense.
Come on, Gray.
Double for Gray, I get a little bit more cushion and to get nothing.
What?
It's not double or nothing if they beat 40 is what I am saying. But it's not double or nothing for me, though.
It's not. Why would Tori agree to doing something that gets him no benefit?
Yeah.
He'd have to owe you potentially another $50, but gets nothing if you are wrong on the bet. Come on, man. Devon says, bro, trying to scam you.
So the double or nothing would be if they hit 45.
We understand what you're saying. It makes no sense what you're saying, though. We understand what you're trying to pull off.
I don't need a 4-win cushion at the risk of losing double my money. I get what you're saying. He's basically giving me a 4-win cushion where I don't win anything.
Right.
Right. So basically, I save, if it's between 41 and 44, I save $50, but then if it's more than that, I lose an extra $50. Which just is not worth it for me, man. I'm out.
That's not a big enough.
We're doing our original bet. I'm out. Like Mark Cuban would say. We still got our $50 bet though. And when I get the whiteboard, Maybe I'll get it tomorrow. The whiteboard. I'm gonna put sticky notes on it, Eric, and I'm gonna color code them. Right? So if one of our hosts on one of our other podcasts has a hot take or a prediction or something, I can put a color-coded sticky note on the board. And we can keep track of the board. And it'll just be a giant cardboard board with sticky notes. Is that a good idea, chat? I think that's a good idea.
You can put Eric thinks the Blazers will be like the 3 seed this year.
Yeah, Eric says they're better than the Kings. I was always the Kings hater, too. The guy who never believed in the Kings. Actually, I think one year I did. One year I got burned by him. Just like TNT, yeah, it is just like TNT, but it's our version. So, because I always like somebody keep track of that. I always say that, so I need to put my bet with Gray Hughes up there.
Mm-hmm. Well, remember, I think this was the year after. Remember the year they won like 48 games and missed the playoffs?
The Kings?
Yeah. A few years ago, and then everyone thought they were going to make a jump the next season, and they sucked. And then they went back to being good eventually. It must have been after that season. But what's hilarious is last year, didn't they only win 48 games last year? And that was my point earlier. Yeah, they won 48 last year and had the third seed. So like, if that's the case again this year, where the third seed or whatever doesn't win more than 50 games, there's a lot of teams that could be in the mix for home court until late in the season.
Tori, you could get a dry erase whiteboard and colored dry erase markers. Yeah,
too easy to wipe off.
Yeah. I'm gonna have sections like maybe draft, like early draft predictions. And then color code them. Alex Sarr will be the number 1 pick. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Gray, I thought you won if you got 40, so shouldn't it be 40 to 46?
So he's saying that you know, the deal under 40 is the same, but instead of paying him if they're 40 or above, I don't owe him anything unless they win 47 games, and then I owe him double. Which honestly isn't. If you bump that up to 47, it's not bad. But I kind of just like our bet as it is. I kind of just like, I will gladly give you $50 if they win 40 games or more. I will gladly give you $50 if they win 40 games or more. I don't think they're going to win 40 games or more. That's why I made the bet, but they are better than I thought they'd be after a Dame trade. And watch, they're going to win 40 games. Yeah, it's simple. It's simpler.
Yeah, you're making it way too complicated. I kind of like Zach's idea, though. Like, if they win 35 or less, then you get $100. If they win 45 or more, he gets $100, and then anything in between that, your bet's like canceled, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, or if it's between 35 and 40, we'll do 50. 40 and 45, we'll do 50 for him. Yeah. I mean, I'd be willing to do that too. I don't know. Anyway, I kind of like our bet. It's simple enough and it's low enough that I'm not tripping about it, you know? So, I'm not trying to trip over a bet. We're winning 50 plus. I mean, if we're winning 50 plus, yeah, I will gladly pay him $50 because that means we're doing postseason streams. So it will make up for itself. It'll more than make up for itself. And shoot, if we have postseason streams, Gray will probably donate $50 anyway, so I will gladly pay him $50.
Mind Over Matter earlier asked if the Blazers got a pair or 3 bad contracts and 3 solid firsts for Grant and Brogdon by the deadline. How would you guys feel?
Say that again?
If the Blazers took on bad contracts but got 3 firsts for trading Grant and Brogdon by the deadline, how would we feel?
I feel great.
Yeah, I think 3 firsts would be nice, and then also, but it kind of depends on what those firsts are.
Yeah, I mean 3 solid ones. I mean you kind of expect hope for 1 for Grant and 1 for Brogdon. So what, you're getting an extra 1 for taking on a bad contract? I mean, they're paying DeAndre Ayton a max contract, so like we're paying Matisse Thybulle, $11 million a year. I thought that was a bit of an overpay. Like, I don't think we're going the cap space route anyway, and if we did, we'd probably be taking on a bad contract via trade for a first round pick anyway. So yeah,
wow.
I'd be okay with that.
Zach can't even watch the last few minutes of the stream.
Okay, we'll take questions. Does anybody need life advice? Let me know.
Or Parker had a donation if you want to read it.
Oh, shout out to Parker, a.k.a. the Energy Warning, with a $2 donation. Says, anyone come across as a leader on the team yet? Thank you.
Everyone's saying Ant's stepping up as the leader, but that also Scoot has a lot of leadership qualities.
Scoot is the vocal leader, and Ant is like the lead by example.
Actually, they've been saying Ant's been getting the people like communicating, and he's just like transformed person leadership wise.
I mean, if so, then that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I just never really expected to hear that, he's so chill. Like, watch Sharp in 3 years, that'll be him. Could you imagine Sharp being a vocal leader?
Alex Wolf asked if he should try to bring fanny packs back. Well, you wouldn't be the one bringing them back, but yeah, I suggest you wear a fanny pack tomorrow to work or wherever you're going and see how that goes.
Josh Brown says, how do we deal with Dame withdrawals? Deal with it with us. Hang out with us. That's how you deal with it.
You can hope that Scoot is really good, or you can go watch some Bucks games. But yeah, it's going to be weird.
Garben, yeah, I was planning on watching all the Blazers YouTube stuff. I just haven't had time. Recorded with Steven, so podcast with Steven going up tomorrow. Was a good one. See you, Gray. Podcast tomorrow will be a good one. Will be uploaded probably in the evening because I'm not going to edit it tonight. I'm going to edit it tomorrow. And then I'll probably drop another video tomorrow. I dropped a video today on the main channel on Robert Williams III, so go check that out if you haven't watched it already. It was glitching on the upload. It took me like 2 hours to upload that thing, so leave a like on this stream too. We only got 62 likes. A little bit of a bummer. I forgot to do a chat poll for it, so make sure you hit that like button. And yeah, I think that's a wrap. Feel free to check out Eric's podcast with Crushables, the Hoops Crush podcast. It was a fun first recording from you guys. And looking forward to more content. So we'll keep you posted with what we're doing for preseason. We'll definitely do post-game shows. And then we'll figure out like collab stuff with Suns, because that's half the games. And then, yeah, we'll keep you posted. Don't know exactly what we're doing yet, but we will let you know. Anything else, Eric?
No, thanks everyone for watching, and thanks for all the nice comments about Hoops Crush. It was a lot of fun finally getting to do a show with Crushables there, and yeah, so check that out. Also, I haven't mentioned this in a long time, but go check out Rip City Retro. It's a great channel. Rich posts a lot of good stuff on there, so go check that out too. Got to plug my guy there. And yeah, hope to see you guys on Monday.
Yep, Monday. Unless there's another trade. There won't be.
Yeah.
So Monday, another stream. And then Tuesday, we'll have some sort of stream for the preseason. So God, Eric, we're back to streaming bunch of times a week. It's really here. This was our last. This was really our last week. Well, I guess the week of the 16th. Like 16th is our last preseason game, and then we don't have another game until the 25th. So I guess that's another week. But man, the season's already here. Preseason game is only 5 days away from Blazer basketball. Yep. So we got you guys covered. If you haven't watched the content trailer on the main channel, check it out. If you guys want to know what we're planning on doing this year. And with that being said, we are out of here. We'll catch you Monday. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.